I'll see you later.
See you later, like next year's Super Bowl. All right, Max, a big storyline this offseason was regarding the Patriots' success. Was it more Brady? Was it more Belichick? Well, Belichick missed the playoffs, and Brady just won another ring. So what should we think about Bill Belichick today?
Oh, listen, it raises questions about Belichick. It just does. Mm-hmm. I know that Brady left the cupboard bare. I made that argument. And I always thought it was more Belichick. I was sure it was more Belichick. Mm-hmm. But now I have to admit, I have to wonder. Was it, in fact, more Belichick? Clearly, I wasn't giving Brady enough credit. And even though Joe Montana went to the right situation in Kansas City after the Niners, including with the coaching, and got him to the AFC Championship game, see, he's not a system quarterback. It's not just Bill Walsh. Brady just won the Super Bowl in year one. Now, were the Bucs loaded? Yep, they sure were. Everywhere you look, they were loaded. Okay? Did he leave the cupboard bare for Belichick? Was he coaching under very difficult circumstances and still did a nice job, 7-9? Yes, he did. But we don't have 1,000 seasons to play out, to run perfect experiments to see who was who. This is pretty much as good as you could ask for. Brady's on a new team. Belichick's coaching without him. And by the way, if anything, the coach has the advantage because when the coach is older, he should still be good. Brady's 43. So the answer, does this affect Belichick's legacy? The answer is yes. He has to now win without Brady. He can't just, that's a good coaching job. He went 8-8 this season. Nope. He's got to make deep playoff runs. He should win a ring without Brady before all is said and done. Or his legacy, the great debate, is it more Belichick or Brady? Shockingly to me, will be won by those who said, no, it was more Brady. Yes, this is a big deal.
It's a big deal, but not for Bill Belichick, the coach. I have no questions about Bill Belichick, the coach, because in the sport of football, it takes more than just a quarterback to win it, as we learned last night. Mm-hmm. You consider what happened on defense, you consider what happened on special teams, and you have an overseer that allocates responsibility to other people, the people he picks to put in charge, whether it's offensive coordinator, defensive line coach, linebackers coach, quarterback coach, et cetera, et cetera. You're the head coach. You oversee all of that. And Bill Belichick is a 6-time champion as a head coach, a 2-time champion as a coordinator, a guy that's been to 11 Super Bowls in his career. I refuse to insult that man by questioning the coach that is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, the GM, however, is an entirely different conversation. You could have had DK Metcalf or A.J. Brown instead of somebody like N'Keal Harry. You could have had a Damian Harris, for example, who's been impressive, instead of a Sony Michel who can ball. I'm not trying to knock Sony Michel. When you look at the quarterback position, forget the Jimmy Garoppolo deal, because we understand that. I'm sorry, I think Jacoby Brissett at this point in time in his career is better than Cam Newton. You could have still had him, somebody who was better, younger, fresher legs, not beaten up. Age and attrition hadn't kicked in, and on top of it all, he was familiar with the New England system. All of those things come into play. And when you don't have those things at your disposal because you've made a decision as a GM, that is bad enough. But when it gets incredibly egregious, y'all, is when, as I reported and I told you last year, Tom Brady would have stayed if he believed he was wanted by Bill Belichick. Owner Robert Kraft would have found a way to make it happen if Bill Belichick has shown enough respect and enough affection for Tom Brady to let him know you're wanted, you're valued. But that was not the case. So Tom Brady was hell-bent on going elsewhere to prove what his value was. And when you listen to these guys on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers speak about Tom Brady, it's not just guys on the offensive side of the ball. It wasn't just Leonard Fournette. It wasn't just Antonio Brown. You talk about Shaq Barrett. You talk about Devin White and others. You talk about Ndamukong Suh, who was interviewed by Greeny this morning on Get Up. And you talk about the coach that is Bruce Arians. And you hear everybody collectively speak about the leadership ability of this dude and how he galvanizes everybody. What you have is a coach who's also the GM in New England that selectively decided to ignore that component. In other words, this is my program. We're going to do it my way. The hell with all of that. And when you do that to somebody that old who's produced for you and somehow you missed You miss the leadership component that he brings to the team and how he's able to squeeze out whatever somebody else has left in them. Then you think about Gronk, who wanted to retire and was shivering on stage one day talking about, you have no idea what I was going through. But now not only does he come back, shines in the Super Bowl, but says he ain't thinking about retiring.
They
all
look
of a
like they're
sudden,
having fun.
They look like they're
Brady,
having
the
fun.
GM, is pretty darn good, too. And he brought back Leonard Fournette, all these players. All 31 points that were scored by the Bucs guys were all players that were not on the Bucs in 2019 who went 7-9. They all came to play with Tom Brady.
But if you're an executive and your responsibility is to identify and then allocate responsibility to somebody else, and you miss that, that's bad.
All right.
He's a winner. He's a good leader. One of the best human beings I know. Even a greater football player. I can't speak enough on what he's meant to me.
I'm just blessed to be next to this man. You know, he's the GOAT. He is the greatest football player to ever play. You know, and I can tell my kids I play with that man. I'm just blessed.
It's been amazing to have Brady come in and lead us to the Super Bowl champs, man. Like there's nothing else to be said. Brady, there's nothing that he can't do. New team, new scheme, first year, going to the Super Bowl and winning it all. Like he's the GOAT for sure.
By the way, I just want to mention Leonard Fournette, heck of a game. He'll be on the show with us tomorrow. I can't wait to talk to him. Dan Orlovsky's in the building. And Dan, you know I have love for you, but I don't even know your wife, and I like her more than you. Everyone, please go look at Dan's Instagram, and you can thank me later. We will leave it at that. Solid video.
I was so mad, Molly. I was so mad.
I know. Cry, baby. All competitive. Oh, my goodness. But I can tell your wife something special. We'll leave it at that. Stephen A., let's go back to the GOAT talk. Did Brady finally put an end to it, even in the future? It's all said and done. Brady's the GOAT. No one's ever going to take that away.
I think so. He's going to go down as the most celebrated quarterback in the history of the National Football League. And I think that, again, you know, I say it's over for Patrick Mahomes, and only in that regard. We all know that Patrick Mahomes is phenomenal. We know he will be back. There's no question in my mind that as long as he's healthy and he's at the quarterback position for the Kansas City Chiefs, they will win Super Bowl championships in the future. I sincerely doubt it'll reach 7, but more importantly than that, we're going to look at the fact that when he went against Brady, Brady took him out. Okay, Brady is going to end up being the MVP. Max just went on the soliloquy the previous segment with a lot of things he had to say about the two in comparison. And what I'm saying to Max is what Max has said on many occasions about everybody else, and you can validate this. It's not that your information is wrong. It's that at the end of the day, ain't nobody going to be thinking about that. Like, for example, you're a Giants fan, die hard, and you didn't even remember that New England scored 14. You said 17.
Right, it was 17-14.
I'm just saying, you didn't even remember, but you remembered, of course, that the Giants beat the Patriots. I'm saying to you that when it comes to Patrick Mahomes against Tom Brady, we're going to remember that they got beat down. The particulars is going to escape a lot of people in the future. What we're going to remember is that Brady won Super Bowl MVP. And Patrick Mahomes lost convincingly, spent most of the day running for his life. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and it was a beat down that took place before the world, that is not something that gets glossed over. It's something that you can ultimately overcome in terms of people still appreciating your greatness and what you mean to the NFL and that you're the future face of the NFL or whatever. But even though Brady's won now 4 rings, I think he's won like 3 or 4 rings since the age of 37. Since the age of 37.
He's won 3 since I made the Cliff prediction. Out of the last 5 years.
He has
3.
multiple after 40. That's all I know.
Don't bring that up. Don't do that to yourself. But in the end, what it comes down to is that when you get beat down like that, and it's at the hands of Brady, people are going to remember that. Those other details, while definitely accurate, is not what folks outside of Max Kellerman and the Dan Orlovskys of the world and others are going to recall.
What you just said is real talk. That's as the kids say. I don't know if they're kids anymore. Everyone says real talk, right? Isn't that old? Is that no one's saying it in real talk?
I say it all the time.
The point is that's real talk. That's actually what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that means the door is shut? I don't. And let me tell you why. First of all, there could be a rematch next year or the year after the way Brady's going, right?